Duke Ellington, a very important individual in the Harlem Renaissance, inspired the African American culture to pursue their own happiness, gave America its own sound, and overcame challenges and discrimination through his passion of music. In the bibliography of Duke Ellington by PBS, it explains how Duke Ellington motivated young African Americans to succeed in their rough lives. African Americans during the Harlem Renaissance realized that they had a lot of potential and could do great things in the world. African Americans were easily able to relate to his works since his songs dealt with celebrating the African American experience. Ellington's music itself fueled Black pride. Duke Ellington remains one of the most influential figures in jazz, if not in all American music, and is widely considered as one of the 20th century's best-known African American personalities. He challenged the traditional representation of blacks in the entertainment industry. It was Ellington's sense of musical drama that made him stand out. His blend of melodies, rhythms, and subtle sonic movements gave audiences a new experience. As an inspired coach and kind-hearted leader, Ellington willingly showcased his musicians and enabled them, in turn, to make a strong impact on jazz styles for their particular instruments. Ellington's piano style influenced Thelonious Monk, a leading modern jazz composer-pianist, while Ellington's arranging concepts were assimilated by Gil Evans, Thad Jones, George Russell, Claire Fisher, Charles Mingus, Sun Ra, and other significant modern composers. He was a beloved figure of the 20th century.
Duke Ellington considered his music to be American music rather than jazz music. He said this because what he gave America was its own individual sound for the first time ever. Over the span of his career, he performed over 20,000 times in Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East, as well as Asia. This gave the rest of the world a taste and resemblance of what American music was like. During the early 20th century in the Harlem Renaissance, when he thought of music, he thought of Duke Ellington. Through his music, he also resembled the American people, especially African American people, as his inspiration for writing his music. When asked, he stated, "My men and my race are the inspiration of my work. I try to catch the character and mood and feeling of my people." Duke Ellington had a huge impact on popular music in the early 20th century and was admired by all people.
In the article and interview by Ed Smith and Mark Clement about Duke Ellington's life, it talks about the challenge and discrimination he faced just to keep making great music for the world. The first challenge he faced was the Great Depression. When this happened, jazz records really dropped. Also, the band's activity really dropped. He was not playing 1 or 2 shows per night, and concerts really dropped. Another challenge for Duke was getting people to love him and his music. However, you cannot get every single person in the world to love you. Duke faced little trouble in discrimination issue in the Harlem Renaissance. He obviously had the same kind of racial problems as many other black composers, but he did his best to try to stop any of this discrimination. He always showed class. You were supposed to make a proper presentation of yourself, and Ellington, of course, was by far the most known person. He always dressed very good and was very kind. He never really spoke out against discrimination, but he did speak out sometimes against it in his music. The Duke, pianist, composer, bandleader, and gentleman, not a social or political activist. However, he was more than willing to support the movement with his music, organizing and playing at multiple benefit events for the NAACP.
Don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. That don't mean a thing, all you gotta do is swing. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm every little thing you've got. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing.